It's fine.
I'm not
I
likely
probably
to
won't need it. Yeah. When I need it, I don't have it, and then I just I feel naked.
All right.
I don't wear a watch or
I know.
pin.
My watch today.
Michael's
Grant,
over here nude.
Grant, you need a watch.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't too bad
Buy
today.
you a watch.
Wasn't too bad today.
No, it's pretty good actually. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Three Guys, One Music. How's it going, fellas?
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Lots of energy today. No, I'm just kidding. I have none. But
The mood is pretty good.
yes, we're going to talk about mood music. Yeah, this ought to be interesting. We're going to talk about some records that we tend to go to whenever we're in a certain mood. And I don't know that I've seen a lot of episodes and podcasts where people talk about that. Maybe they have, but I haven't really come across them. So
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I think I don't remember who suggested this episode. You guys can refresh my memory, but
I thought it was.
anyway,
I thought it was you.
I did think it was you.
Was it me? Okay, that's how strong I am today mentally. So
You're in a bad mood, and you took it out
not
on
in
her.
a bad mood. I'm really not in a bad mood that often. Nope, not me, man. All right, so we're going to talk about what we've been listening to. Of course, I will go first. I'll try to cut to the chase, as I like to say sometimes. I've been listening to Santana's Abraxas from 1970. Just really, really enjoy that record for how well they communicate with each other, and not really being into music that's got a lot of percussion in it, unlike you two. That record really works for me. It's just a super musical record. I just feel like there's a lot of deepness.
Yeah.
And I was going to say emotion, but it's just the conversations that those guys are having with each other. I just feel it. It's really,
There are several
really good.
musicians on that album.
yeah,
Pretty big band.
It's really good. Yeah, Greg
it's
Raleigh of Journey, later
Mm-hmm.
with Journey, does some really fine vocals, especially in Black Magic Woman. It's really good stuff, and that was really the first record. I don't know if a lot of people know this, maybe not the first record, but among the very first records that I believe I'm corrected with this, that the Mesa Boogie amp, as we came to know it for the next several years, that was the first time that had made an appearance on a record, or it was among the first that made an appearance on a record. And it wasn't really yet a Mesa Boogie, but it was a modded amp that became the Mesa Boogie.
Who was playing through that modded amp that became
of course,
Mesa Boogie?
Carlos Santana.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. He was actually the one that inspired the name. Hey, man, that thing really boogies. I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
Might have been the guy for Moby Great, but I believe that is Carlos Santana that's responsible for that. Please correct us if I'm mistaken. And I've been listening to, and I never get this name right. You guys can correct me. Please correct me. Is it Kurungbin? I can never, it's not a name that just everybody says, yeah, that's how you pronounce it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, yeah. I'm not really confident that I'm saying it right ever. I think I'm adding a syllable, but I've been turning a lot of people on to them at work, and it's just really great music, and it fits the mood a lot of time. It's great mood music.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned them because just a little while ago I was talking to my wife and I told her what our topic is, and she said, "Oh, you ought to talk about that band. I love them." It's
that band that she doesn't know how to pronounce either.
I wasn't going to try it right away, but they're great. They really set the mood. They set you can't help but tap your toes when you're listening to that stuff.
They are playing here in the area in June that I desperately would like to go to, but it's been sold out for some time.
Yeah,
unless I pay premium dinero, I don't think I'll go, but I really would like to try to see if I can come across a ticket.
Yeah, the guitarist had actually said before that if he'd known they'd be so popular, then they would have chosen an easier to pronounce name.
Yeah, it is a mouthful.
Yes.
And finally, I've been listening to a lot of punk rock in recent weeks. I am trying to write a bunch of pop, punk, and pop, punk pop inspired stuff. That's just where my head is recently. I've been listening to a band that I recently discovered out of Indianapolis from 40 plus years ago named the Zero Boys. Just really, really impressed. I'd never heard of them. And I've been listening to Minor Threat, and Misfits, but these guys, I think I like them better than both of those bands.
Oh yeah.
These really, it's really good. Really, really impressed with it. And they only had a couple of records. They broke up before the second record was released, back in 81 or 82, maybe 83 or whatever. They had one record called Vicious Circle in 81. And it's really good. I mean, if you like that type of thing, as those bands go, I rate them pretty high. Very, very, I like them better than Black Flag, and I like them better than Minor Threat. I mean, there's things I love about those bands, but these guys, I think these guys are more musical. The melodies are better, the vocal melodies, and it's really good. It's not quite as maybe aggressive as Black Flag, or the vocals are definitely easier on my ears than Minor Threats. So if anybody's interested in that sort of thing, check out the Zero Boys. Pretty cool.
I know the name. I haven't had a chance to listen to them, so I have to check that out.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What you been listening
to? I'll go.
I'll let you go.
Alrighty, I'll go. I've been listening to a lot of Tony Williams this week. Foreign Intrigue, I think that was his last album in '85.
That's a good album.
Yeah,
I like that.
The only thing I don't like is he had experimented a little bit with the electronic drums, and it's light, so thankfully it's not crazy. But and then Angel Street, old $1 Million Legs, Believe It, albums from the '70s, and Emergency with that was the fusion group with John McLaughlin and Larry Young on organ. And I remember when I got that album, because I was young and just into drums, and anytime you are getting into whatever individual instrumentalist, you just buy up albums. And I remember putting it on and going, I don't understand this. It's pretty heavy fusion, and but I remember saying, I'll just put this in the shelf and occasionally pull it out and listen. And I remember trying to understand it several different times throughout, as your musical education, especially with jazz and fusion, stuff like that. You don't, there's no roadmap like there is verse, chorus, bridge in other type of music or classical music where you have your movements or whatever.
Yeah.
But, and then one day you just get it and you're like, oh, wow, this is amazing.
That's a conversation we should have in the future, because I can think of quite a few times in my development that I knew that I deserved, or that a record deserved for me to spend time with it, but I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I would go back to it over a period of years. And I don't know how common that is, but that's something that I don't know how much I share that with other musicians, but it's interesting to hear you say that.
Definitely with me, because I've got several things, especially when you're starting out and you're younger, you just, you jump too far ahead, and you're like, okay, wait a minute. I know this is good, and I know this has got something, but I don't get it right now.
Yeah, but I wonder how many musicians have that awareness that this is worth for me to revisit, that they just know I don't like it. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it sounds like all three of us have been in that situation, because I've certainly had albums or songs that
it's probably pretty common, I think, for musicians now, not for regular listeners who might listen to it and go, "Oh, I'm never going to listen to this again."
Yeah,
I'm going to say that I know musicians that have not done that.
Oh, really? Wow.
I'm just going to go.
Well, let's quit talking about it and save it for next time.
Yeah.
Another drummer, Peter Erskine, with a trumpet player named Tim Hoggins, and the Norbotten Big Band is a fantastic album. It's called, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the album. And I didn't write the album name down. Anyway, it's a great album. I love big bands, and I love modern big bands, and Peter Erskine can do no wrong on the drums.
I think he's one of my favorite drummers.
Yeah.
He's just, I like everything about him. His attitude.
Exactly.
He's confident, but yet he's not too much.
He's not show offish or braggish. He just knows what he's doing.
Man, I am a fan. Yeah, like him.
And the old album, I forget the year, Art Blakey Caravan album. Such a good drummer. and John Coltrane, My Favorite Things album with Elvin Jones and was that McCoy on piano? And I forget the bass player. But anyway, just a lot of jazz this week. That's it.
Cool. Good choices.
Cool.
I think it's funny that we write everything down like old men. And I can't even read my handwriting.
I type.
One of their best albums, XTC, is, I think, English Settlement from back in the day. There's 82? So much. 83? I didn't write that down.
83? Okay.
Come on.
I was thinking it was 82.
That sounds about right. 83. Everything on that album is, all their songs are so different from each other.
They are. And that is true.
It really is more perfect than their other albums, I think. It starts off with Runaways with that
82
that offbeat on the bass drum, and Senses Working Overtime, classic song. It's Nearly Africa. Any song on that album you could point out is just so different, and rhythmically it was very influential to me. At that time, listening to them and Susie and the Banshees with Budgie on the drums, just doing different things than you would hear normally in a top 40 setting, or even a pop radio setting, not necessarily top 40. But XTC's English Settlement is one I revisited several times this week. So it's such a good album. Nice. Nothing in particular by them. I just put them on and let them play. The Tragically Hip, great band. My favorite songs like Poets and Blow It High Do, they're just so good, and Gord Downey died in 17.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
A big loss, man. They're such a great band.
Remember. Yeah.
The other band I listened to this week, several, of course, but these are the ones that stand out for me. World Leader Pretend. They always come back around. World Leader Pretend is a band from Louisiana. They put out 1.5 albums, put out an EP, and then their first album. But my wife is like, all the songs sound alike, and I can see that. It's in the production, the way the drums are produced and carry each song. But it's just so good. It sounds so unique to me. I've heard them compared to Radiohead and other bands in that genre, but I'm really disappointed World Leader Pretend didn't make a bigger splash, because their first album, Hunches, is such a good album. And I forget about it, and then I pull it out again and enjoy it so much.
I would like to have a conversation in the future about what we listen to whenever we hear a record, because I don't hear the same thing you hear.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything, and I'm not minimizing what World Leader Pretend did, but they've never made any big impact on me. But I'd be interested in what you're hearing that I'm not hearing. And that doesn't mean, I'm just saying what you're listening for. Yeah. I think that might make an interesting conversation for us to talk about, what we are listening for in music, or what, elements in a record intrigues us, and we could discuss it.
Yeah. Sometimes, like World Leader Pretend, it's just an emotional connection, something about it.
Yeah.
Just hits me just right. I couldn't, I could break it down and tell you the elements of it, but I don't know that I could actually say this really stands out to me. That's what makes it cool.
Yeah.
Some things are like that, but some, the things I really love are
you just can think about it for that podcast.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well,
I think that's
hopefully that's a pretty good segue for what we're going to talk about for our topic.
Sorry.
I would say that I'm just going to say, before we ever go into our lists, I never really thought about it, but a lot of these records, if not all of them, they were where I was in that point of my life, and I want to revisit that whatever period of my life. It's not necessarily mood music, but it could be construed as mood music. But it's revisiting a period of my life that takes me back to that period.
Mood. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a frame of mind. I don't know what you would call it exactly, but some of these things I do listen to when I'm in a certain mood, but not all of them.
Mhm.
Frame of mind is a mood as well. I mean,
Yeah, it's I'm revisiting a moment, I'm ruminating, but yeah, it'll be interesting what we all talk about, but mine's not
Yeah.
going to be anything revolutionary. But yeah, it'll be interesting what we talk about. One of you guys want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
One of the things I suggest, I gave examples, and one of the first things, I don't know if you followed everything I wrote down, but one of the things I wrote down was, what's your breakfast food? What do you wake up in the morning? What gets you going? And I've mentioned it before. One of the things I listen to when I get a chance in the morning that gets me really going is Tchaikovsky's Capriccio Italian. It's just such a great piece. It opens up with that like bugle part, calling
Is
you
this virtually every day?
No.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times, if the last time I listened to it, I had to work on a Saturday, and we get inventory and we get a stock order, and I have to check it off and make sure it's all there. And I get there early, and I'm alone, and it's dead quiet. Put on this music, that bugle serenade to get you going, and then it swings and sways with the strings into that soft awakening with the sun, and then there's the call and response with the clarinet and the flute, and it rises to that dramatic crash,
right?
And then it's into a kind of a 3/4, not a waltz, but this dancing movement where you're making the eggs, or you're
counting the inventory,
putting away the inventory, and it's just perfect wake up music. It's got that slow, going to make the donuts kind of vibe for me. And it's really dramatic. It's really powerful all the way up until the end. And I just love it. And that's my breakfast food is Tchaikovsky's Capriccio Italian.
I do not think I have a breakfast food for music.
No,
that I can think of. Not one piece that
food or breakfast
nothing
mood.
to
nothing
Jimi
that pumps
Hendrix,
me up, but I'm no
Jimi Hendrix, Star Spangled Banner.
It's all
to
it all
pump you up
depends
next time.
on what I'm currently into. There's not something not that I can think of off the top of my head, and I have thought about it, but
Yeah.
I love the idea of a t-shirt called Making the Eggs. Yeah.
Grant, is there a song that you
That's what I got out of your
morning way?
Not particularly, I don't think. I remember in high school, I can't remember the song. What's the Rush song? Is it? It's not I See Red. It's off.
Oh,
yeah. What's the title of the song?
is it Red Sector A?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. That's the sad song.
Oh, okay.
About the concentration camp.
That's right.
This I See Red, and
Red Lenses.
That's it.
Red Lenses.
That's I remember distinctly once listening to that album when it came out, obviously, and that song in particular stood out to me as a morning song, and I remember playing it before heading off to school, like just blasting it up.
Yeah.
Because I was the last person to leave. I don't know. I don't remember, but I just remember I think there's a line in there about the rising summer sun or something about that. So maybe that's why I was thinking about morning or whatever. But anyway, it kind of starts the day, and it's kind of it's not a pump you up song, but it's not a laid back song either, So I haven't listened to that, and I'm gonna listen to it tomorrow morning.
I have blasted Working Man or what's the Stick song? Blue Collar Man. Blue Collar Man. I blasted that out into the wide open spaces at work first thing in the morning. So it's good to have an anthem, because otherwise I'd be just miserable.
Well, this has nothing to do with our list, but if I think about a song that I would think is a morning song that I would enjoy on multiple mornings, it would be Jane by Jefferson Starship.
Great song.
Just always made me feel good.
Yeah.
It's just very uplifting to me. It's very musical, and I love everything about it. So that might qualify as morning
Morning mood,
mood?
morning
But
food mood.
but I just love the song. I could listen to it anytime. But I don't know. That's a good question. It's interesting how we listen differently,
Yeah.
you know, and how we think about things. I think that's part of this exercise. It's interesting to me personally.
Well, Grant, what mood do you want to tell us about?
I want to talk about anger.
Ooh.
Get the anger mood out of the way. You know,
Sure.
sometimes you just, and I have
All
a,
right.
a little an anger sidebar, because this has to do with my anger album is metal, a metal album, and I think I remember when the status quo and obviously parents and everything would just look down on anything metal, and metal was the devil, and metal was this, and metal was that, and
Yeah.
I've talked to people and said, look, without metal, without heavy metal, without death metal, without thrash, you would have a lot more angry people walking around in the populace, because heavy music is a release.
Mhm.
You know, you can scream your lungs out, you can mosh, you can headbang, you can get it all out without hurting a soul, and you can feel better and not take it out on someone else or go do something stupid because you're angry at something or whatever. I think,
Have you personally experienced this?
yeah,
I never have done that.
I've been so angry that I was like,
Wow.
I'm going to hurt somebody or hurt myself because
Wow.
this is, and
And music, a certain record helped you do that?
yes, oh yeah, yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, and it doesn't have to be like, you know, physical, like anger. It can be emotional anger or mental. Just I'm so angry at a situation or
Right.
a state of this or state of
Right.
that or whatever, that it literally, I'm gonna scream if I don't do something, you know.
Right.
And this album is my go-to, and luckily I've been holding it together in the last few years and not had to play it at ear-splitting volume. But Lamb of God, it's an album called Wrath from 2009, and
Okay.
that is one of the heaviest albums, not only that they've written, but just in general in metal. And
Right.
it's not, the Lamb of God is not pop metal, it's not dance metal,
Right.
it's metal. You know,
Mhm.
you got to really enjoy metal to be into certain metal bands, and musicianship is off the charts as well. But just you know, Randy Blythe, he writes about topics, and his lyrics are very thought out and meaningful. And
Right.
but even without those lyrics, the music is just so intense on that album. You can just, you know, like I said, turn it up to 11 and just holler, scream, cry, whatever you want to do, you know, run around the room, whatever. It's just a total release, you know.
That's
And
interesting.
then when you're done, and you're like, okay, I can think now and not be emotional, and I can think about how to figure the situation out, because you're never going to solve anything by just being purely emotional.
Right.
You got to take a step back. Like if you're driving down the highway and a car's coming out of this road and a car's coming out of this road, if you panic and go, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?" or you just start screaming, well, you're going to crash. You know, you got to take all your emotions to the side, think about what to do, and then after you're out of that situation, then you can be emotional about it. You know,
Right.
this is kind of the opposite. You take all your emotions away, get rid of them, and then you can think about your situation in a calm and some, hopefully
Yeah.
a
Makes sense.
intelligent manner, you know. But yeah, that album is tops for me for getting the anger out.
I wonder if I'm in the minority. Um, I mean, it is very interesting to me how differently we all are in terms of how we music, whatever it expresses in us. I've never experienced that. All the music that I've enjoyed, it's never been, I can't ever think of a time ever in my life that I've ever had a record that I needed a release like that. It's interesting to me, but I know that it happens. It
Yeah,
is interesting to hear you say that. I personally can't relate to it, but I wonder how often it happens and how very common it is.
yeah,
You know, about this is what I would think. This is just would think it happened more with non-musicians than it would with musicians. That's the first thing that would come to my mind.
hmm.
But that's probably very unfair. But I never really thought about it, you know. But I guess, yeah, that is very interesting, you know, to hear you say that, you know. Um, Wow. Okay. I like
I
it.
wouldn't say
Gives me something to
my
think about.
yeah, I wouldn't say my anger has a certain soundtrack, but I'd certainly go to, if I were that angry, it doesn't happen much anymore, but
Yeah, that's what I mean.
my go-to would be like, something really heavy punk rock, Agnostic Front, MDC, something like that, Ministry,
God, I don't know what it would be like.
something really
I
heavy. But
I try to check that part of my personality because it's scary.
yeah,
Whenever it
Yes,
gets to a
that's why I'd
place.
rather
exactly
listen to music
Yeah.
and work it
Yeah.
out
No,
before
whatever it
I'd end up
takes.
in jail or something, you know?
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Oh man,
Might end
that's
up
why heavy metal
Collins.
isn't out in the car when I'm
Yeah.
on the highway with a bunch of cars. It's like, let's put
Yeah.
some Americana on, something
Docile.
soft.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to encourage. It could also encourage your anger behavior. You know,
Yeah.
it's got a double-edged sword, you know.
Pull over to the right lane and put on some
I
Captain
mean,
and
it's
Tennille.
like blues. If you want to listen to blues when you're sad, that could have a deleterious effect as well. You could get more sad and like, wait a minute, this is dragging me down into a hole. I need it. It's making me worse, you know? So yeah, you're right. You don't want to put that on at certain times either, because it could enhance your wrong mood or whatever, you know?
Well, I'm hoping these albums we mentioned tonight are cathartic, for your mood when you're when you're in that space.
Well, that certainly is. If you ever find yourself that angry, throw that on and it will save you.
Jamie, tell us what you're going through. What's your emotion?
Exhaustion. These are in no particular order. Might have defied general chronological. One of the records that I listen to when I'm maybe a little sad, and it's not the entire record. There's 3 or 4 songs on it that really strike a mood, and it just it's not that I want to stay sad, but they kind of make me
you want to linger a little bit.
I don't know how to exactly to say it, but it makes me reflective, and I just want to I would rather listen to that instead of something that's more positive or more upbeat. It's just not the mood I'm in. So, and that record is Infinite Arms by Band of Horses. There's a couple of, just a very, the music is really has a certain mood on this record. Like I said, there's a handful of upbeat songs like Laredo and Compliments, I think. But like for Annabelle, it's just a really somber song. I think he wrote for his daughter. The lead singer wrote for his daughter, and it's just honest, and it seems honest, and it's always just it's put me in a certain mood when I'm kind of in a little bit more reflective mood. That's a record that I put on, and I enjoy it very much. But to say it's a sad record, I did write that down, but I'm not really sure how accurate that is. But more reflective maybe is more accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a record that I do go to when I'm in sort of just I need to think,
feeling introspective, maybe.
Yeah. And I have another record with introspective, in that, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see what that is. But
that's a good album. Enjoy it. But it's speaking of commiserating with the music, I can't say there's anything that if I'm feeling down now, I can't say that there's anything that I go to listen to. But I did write down Marillion, Script for a Jester's Tear, back when I was a lad, and my girlfriend broke up with me for a time, and you listen to that, and it's so over the top melodrama, and perfect foil for your teenage angst when you're just going through some heartbreak, whether it's the Web or Chelsea Monday, or even the title song Script for Jester's Tear. You hurt me. So that's when I was making this list, I thought of that album, and it's a great album. I love Marillion, and but the lyrics are just over the top, but the way that Fish writes really creatively, there's some the way he puts words together is just it's very unique. He's got his own voice, obviously. So it's fun to listen to that stuff and the way it's put together. And But yeah, when I was a kid listening, when I was really down, that's the music I turned to. Something really angsty.
Cool.
So
Still a great album though.
It is a great album. I love it. It's got Mickey Pointer was the drummer of that instead of Ian Mosley. And
that's 83 and Misplaced Childhood is 85. Is that correct?
I've actually got it written down. Let's see.
Oh, Michael wrote it down.
83. Yeah. Scripper Jester's here.
Okay.
Nice. All right. Well, since we're all sad now, I'll go with my sad choice. And this is a movie soundtrack. I've mentioned this before.
Endless Love, Lionel Richie. No,
exactly.
I was going to say the same. Do we know you well enough, Grant? Go ahead.
I've mentioned this before, and it is no, it's not Lionel Richie.
Oh my goodness!
All right, sorry about that.
No, we're not sad anymore. Thanks. No, it's the soundtrack to Monsters Ball from 2004.
Oh, okay.
By they're not really a group, but it's Ash and Spencer, and that music. I mean, it's a effed up movie, and the music fits. And again, it's sad, it's introspective, it's contemplative, it's a lot. It's not just sad, you know. I mean, none of these are just that, you know.
Yeah,
but or just one mood, of course. Other trickle in and swim around and then get out and come back, you know. But to me, if I'm feeling down, if I'm feeling a little blue, if I'm feeling a little this or whatever, you know, I can put that on, and there's a little bit of hope in there too, you know, like, and I like that. I like if it's sad music, you want it to have a little, you know, if you see a sad movie, you want there to be something in there somewhere that either
redeeming.
Yeah, you learn from, redeeming, or whatever, or, you know, and I think this music has that in there. It's very heartfelt music. And at the end, there's several songs with vocals from other artists that kind of reinforce that, you know, in your life, things happen, things go sad, but you can still try to make the best of it or whatever. And it doesn't, a lot of times when soundtracks mix with songs, it doesn't work, you know, because it just it's not the same. And even though the instrumental music is not the same for the better part of the album, for 90% of the album, it's instrumental music.
Right.
And then there's a few songs tagged on at the end that were somehow connected to the movie. And but they don't bring you out of that space, you know. It doesn't change your feel or whatever, you know.
Let me ask something. I'm very curious about this. When you listen to a record like this, it's prompted me to ask another question. How often do you active listen versus passive listen? I mean, that's not something you would think about and say, well, I'm active listening. But when you listen to a record like that, are you analyzing it at all? Or are you just taking it for whatever mood it's providing?
It depends on what. Now, if I'm listening to it because I feel down, I'm just passive listening. I'm letting it flow through me and letting it just make me feel whatever and let my mind think whatever. And again, I've listened to it before and go, oh, how'd they get that guitar sound? Or why did they choose to put this drum with this piano? You know, it's both. But if I'm listening to it strictly for mood, like if I'm listening to the Anger album, I'm not dissecting it at all. I just want the hate to flow through me. You know,
honestly, I'm not sure at this stage of my life I have that many passive listening sessions. I would say that it's there. Sometimes I just need something in the background, but a lot of times I'm active listening and I don't even think about it. I'm dissecting the chord progression. Not necessarily thinking about the rhythm. That's something I have to kind of, unless it's obvious, you know, I have to kind of count it out and write it down. But
you know, and this is, sorry to cut you off, but you know, when you're listening to an album like this, and I'm just going to use Wrath again as an example, you know, you're feeling better you initially put it on because of your mood,
Yeah.
and you're feeling better, or you're coming out of your mood, or it's helping you. When you start to analyze, oh, that drum thing was cool.
That's a
Oh,
good
how's he
point.
playing that riff? Oh, wait a minute. I'm
Yeah.
not feeling as bad as I was feeling before.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like if you're sad or whatever, you listen to this Monsters Ball soundtrack and you get to a certain song and all of a sudden you're thinking about the keyboard sound. Well, you're not as sad as you were when you started listening to it.
Ironic, because a lot of people that don't care anything about music would make them sad to think about active listening, because that's exactly what they want to do is passive listening.
Yeah.
I've had people say, "Why do you want to analyze that? Just enjoy it, man." It's like, well, it's fun for me. It actually
that was.
it is joyful for me to analyze it, and it's just natural.
Yeah.
I really get a kick out of trying to dissect things and challenge myself, but not always. I don't
Usually
want to,
my first listen probably of everything I ever hear is I try to be passive at first to feel,
Oh, yeah.
feel the music,
First
get the
listen.
emotion or
Oh,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Oh, I
later
agree.
on, you're dissecting it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the songs that I love, that I truly love the songwriting. I'm trying to challenge myself and become a better songwriter. So I am listening on that level. I just can't not do that. So it's interesting to me, how I guess we all go through phases, but that's the phase I'm currently in is active listening a lot. But I'm just curious. I was just curious how, when you listen to a soundtrack, I wouldn't imagine it is more just like how it strikes you, makes you feel, so. All right, cool, man. I love I don't think I've heard that particular soundtrack.
Oh, you should check it out.
Yeah.
It's very minimal. It's very
Oh,
quiet.
really?
Yeah. It's like I said, it's sad, contemplative, interest, and all these things kind of rolled up into one. But when I'm sad, I'll listen to it,
All right. Are you up, Mike?
No,
I think you were up.
I'm
we're
up.
here for
Okay.
you, Jamie.
Okay. Don't say that. Okay. One of the first records that it wasn't one of the first records, but it was of the first year that I started playing guitar. This record came out, and I wouldn't say that it's even a great record. I don't love the production on it. I think the drums are compressed. They're recorded too hot to my ear. Roy Thomas Baker produced this record.
Oh,
Just is something that I don't think I would love for it to be remixed. If it's, but I just don't think it sounds good. But I love the sound. I love the songs. There's 3 songs in particular that I really like from this record. And it was the first year that I was aware that I really had a connection with the guitar and could play, and this was going to be my future, my path. It was going to be something that I wasn't deterred by. And I listened to this record. It's one of the records that I listen to that takes me back to that period of my life. So it's a sentimental record for me. And that record is Foreigner's Head Games.
Oh, okay.
And it's just, there's 3 tracks: Dirty White Boy, the title track, and Rev on a Red Line.
I love Rev on the Red Line. They were smart to put that last.
Yeah, it has a half a good record, but it's still, even the weak tracks are okay. And Mike's favorite track is Women. You talk about that one. Yeah, he loves those lyrics, everybody. Yeah, there's just a lot of things. There's a lot of elements to that record. I think it's a fun record. It's almost innocent. It was before, a lot of people it wasn't politically correct, and it just seemed like it was one of the last rock and roll records. Not to say it's a great rock and roll record, but it was that last period before things changed,
Yeah, there's a naivete to the times when that came out.
Right. And I miss that, it was fun. It was fun. And I enjoy that record, even though I don't think it's great. I wouldn't compare it to their best records, but it's a sentimental favorite. And I do like those 3 tracks enough that I listen to them. It takes me right back to that period of my life. So it's a lot of fun for me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think I got that from Columbia Records and Tapes.
Oh yeah. Hey man. Like I showed you last week. Most of mine say RCA Record Club. I got my 6 for a penny, and then I was stuck with albums I didn't like. I had to pay for it because I didn't send them back in time.
Yep.
That's another podcast. Well, I'm going to talk about Nick Drake, because when you're feeling
On
contemplative,
my list.
introspective, Nick Drake.
That's exact. I just got to share this. Nick Drake. I can't show you without showing all my Nick Drake. Introspective. It's exactly what I got on my list, man. So we're thinking alike.
Knowing his story is so sad,
Yeah.
because he really didn't get the help he needed. Dead at 25, is that right? 26.
Died November 74 or October 74.
He had where's my hand? 3 albums. His what was his first one?
5 Leaves Left.
5 Leaves Left, which is a great album, but Pink Moon, his last one, I really think is his best. And Pink Moon, I can listen to that. We've talked before about the emotions Nick Drake brings up. I said it's great when you're just laid back, you're driving on a summer night with the sunroof open,
right,
and the stars over you. But melancholic, very contemplative, time for introspection. That's a perfect soundtrack for it all.
Yes. Yeah, he was an interesting guy for sure.
Yeah.
I also have him on my list, which I will discuss. I'm not going to exclude that just because you mentioned it, but I'm going to add. I'm going to elaborate a couple things on this guy's life, because I know a lot about him. So yeah, awesome choice. We both have been Drake fans for some time.
Yeah.
And I've turned people onto him and tried to educate people about him. He's not for everybody.
That's true. I was going to say some people are like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
But you've got to, Nick Drake. You've got to give him a chance, and guaranteed you'll fall in love.
Yeah.
Great music.
Superb guitar player.
Oh yes.
He had so much command as a finger picker, but
Yeah.
he had a very unique style. He must have had incredibly strong hands. The things that I've read, he really had a unique sound. Pink Moon is not my favorite, and I will discuss which one is, but very important record though, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great.
All right.
My contemplative record is next, actually. So, and
all right.
Surprise. It's not Nick Drake.
Oh, dang.
This is from 1997.
Oh.
A little English band called Radiohead, and a album that still is amazing. Okay, Computer.
Yes.
That's a same. You can put that album on and go drive under the stars and think about a myriad things, and it's got its tinges of other moods as well. But for some reason, that album is just makes you think, makes you wander and wonder,
Yeah.
I would say that's one of the strongest records of the 90s.
It's one of the strongest records of ever.
Yeah.
Well, that's true too. That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of
record.
people. Yeah. I mean,
it's critically acclaimed, sold well.
Mm-hmm.
The fans loved it. It kind of checked all the boxes.
Yeah. And there's no bad songs,
Yeah.
I mean, you might have your favorites, this and that, but there's no bad songs. That's almost a perfect album, I would say,
Yeah.
The first thing I heard all. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was going to say, if like you said, if you're going from here to there, that's the perfect soundtrack to accompany your journey, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going.
What is that? A 45-minute record, or is that longer? Do you know?
I think it might be a scooch longer.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because there's quite a few songs. I don't remember how many songs are on it, but
I think Paranoid Android was the first thing I personally heard off the record.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the first single, but when I heard it, I thought, "Ooh, this is different."
Yeah.
I had not kept up with them after, Creep,
Mm-hmm.
which was 4 years.
Yeah.
But they really evolved. I mean, you could almost, some people might think of it as sacrilegious, but it's almost like the Beatles.
Yeah.
They really upped their game
Yeah.
to something entirely different. Well, maybe not entirely different, but
it was so far different than they started,
It was something else. Yeah. So I have a lot of respect for Tom York and John Greenwood.
Yep.
Boys, Ed O'Brien. I like those guys. Good dudes. All right. Well, I'm going to stick with our introspective, contemplative circle. And I'm going to say Nick Drake's Brighter Later, which was the second record, 1970, maybe early 71, but I think it was 70. That's my personal favorite. Richard Thompson of Fairport Convention and later solo artist. He played a lot of guitar on that record. And he used a band. So I guess for people who really like the more dour Nick Drake, they might not prefer that record. Pink Moon to me is a bit too depressing. He was really going through a tough time when he recorded that record. And
yeah, that's true.
it almost sounds like demos, but there are some extraordinary tracks. I mean, Which Will, I think, is my favorite song off that record. Pink Moon is his most well-known song, probably. It's never been my favorite. It's cool. I mean, it's got this thing that it does. And I do love the chorus. I love what he does with the chorus.
Yeah.
But as a song, I don't think it's great. That's just my taste. But I think there's so many great songs on Brighter Later. Hazy Jane 1 and 2 are just phenomenal. I just really like the way, I think the instrumentation with the different band members, it works for him. I don't think it was distracting. But again, I don't think it's everybody's favorite. I think, but I love Five Leaves Left too. That record is probably production-wise his best.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's his best
think
sounding record.
Better than the second one?
I think sonically, I think it was recorded better.
Yeah.
Like Riverman, cello song. I think those is Way to Blue off of that record as well.
I think so.
I think that is sonically a better production off of Five Leaves Left. Joe Boyd, for those who don't know or care, produced those records. And he produced the Pink Floyd's early records. He really was involved with Nick Drake and loved him as a human being and really tried to help him. But, you know, as you alluded to, Nick was a tragic guy.
Yeah.
His dad was like an ambassador to Burma. I think that's where he was born and grew up early in his life. And then they moved, and they were very affluent. He was definitely privileged. And I want to say he went either to, it was Oxford, I think, but it could have been Cambridge, but I think it was Oxford. He was a really well-to-do person and had all the opportunities to, and his sister's a famous actress, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he really had opportunities, but he had this incredible, I guess, fear of playing in front of people. He was just too shy and never really could do it. He tried it a handful of times and it never worked. But
yeah,
had he lived long enough, and he had some deep depression, you know, and accidentally died, I guess, trying to keep that at bay. But yeah, what a brilliant guy. And I got turned on to him about 15, 16 years ago. And it's not something that immediately will strike the person. It's like, yeah, this is great. I love it. But once you listen to it a little bit, there's a lot there to absorb and a lot to appreciate. So I really recommend anybody who's interested in singer-songwriters, Nick Drake's worth a listen.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. But he is somebody who, when I'm in a certain mood, and I would say more introspective, contemplative, his songs do make you think. You know, it's not happy mood music. You know, if it was certain things, I tend to listen to him in the wintertime, and we've discussed this in a previous episode. And you kind of think more of him as a summer artist.
Yeah,
you know, kind of like, and I always think of him as a darker, you know, the dead of winter type of person. I don't listen to him when I'm in an uplifted place, and that's not where I would probably listen to him in the summertime.
I think of him as an autumn.
Yes. Who knows, man? I don't even know if you're pulling my leg, but yeah,
I'm sort of not. I just thought it was funny to say too. That like, well, you know, it's between.
I don't know. That is true. Yeah. I just listened to him I got introduced to him in the winter months, and that's kind of how I listened. I really did a deep dive, and I kind of associated that. I just wouldn't feel like I would listen to him, minus a couple of songs.
Yeah,
you know, there's a couple of songs that I think are universal.
Yeah. But, well, I have to say, Pink Pink Moon's my favorite album, just for, like you said, it sounds more like demos, and I like that stripped down
It's
feeling.
very raw.
It feels very raw.
Yeah.
And there's something, even though if it's kind of depressing, but there's something light about the tunes. Even with Pink Moon and the other tunes on the album, there's a lightness to it, even though there's that dark undertone. So there's a lot to reveal in that. It could touch on any number of emotions when you're listening to that. So I think that's what makes it a great album. What makes him a great artist is that his emotions come through, but there's also room for you to interpret the songs and your feelings toward the songs. So
I do love the album cover. I think it's the best album cover of all of them.
Oh, okay. I don't really remember what that is.
It's childlike, but
Yeah.
it really works. I think it's just really effective. Okay. It works for me. So,
all right, moving on.
What's your next mood, Michael?
Oh man, when it's time to fight.
Oh no!
When I pick up my sword, ready for battle, it's going to be the Mars Volta. It's going to be Francis the Mule, because it's just a great album. It just there's that progressive approach, but there's a jam band feel, because they're all over the place. There's that tension that's not spilling over. It's just on the edge. And I'm not going to try and pronounce any of the Spanish titles to the songs, but the whole album, even The Widow, which is, a slow paced tune, everything about it is just so energetic, powerful. So when I'm ready to come out of the gate, that's the album that's going to pump me up.
What year is that record?
That is 90. Oh no, it's not.
Oh, it can't be 90.
I don't have it on here.
Is it 2005 by any chance?
Is it?
That sounds
No, I'm asking.
Right. It's not the 90s, I don't think.
No, it can't be the 90s.
Early 2000s.
Who can use their phone faster?
I'm using it now. Oh, geez.
Is Thomas Pridgeon the drummer on that album? Is that his first?
I don't think so. I don't think he's with him yet. 1950. No, that can't be right.
1950. Well, we've been back in time.
So it is 2005. So the reason I asked this is because I bought this record when it came out, and I did not get it at all. And I gave it to one of my professors. I was taking a class, and I was like, "You can have this," and he loved it. And I might have got a better grade because of it. I don't remember, but yeah, I gave it to one of my professors. I just didn't get it at all. I was really experimenting and trying, but it just didn't work for me. So I had a feeling that was the record, though, because I don't have anything bad to say about Mars Volta, but it's just a connection you either have with an artist or you don't.
Yeah,
it would be. I think I like them as much as you like UFO. If that makes any sense.
When that album came out, I was disappointed it was less structured and less song like the previous. I appreciated the previous, but I still appreciate that album for what it is.
I should revisit it. Honestly, I should revisit it because obviously it's a record. I respect your viewpoint and your opinions, and it's a record that means a lot to you. I should revisit it, but that is a record that I bought and gave it away because I had a feeling that was it.
But yeah, that's a battle record. So
it's been 20 years since I've heard
it.
Yeah. Wow.
It's time to revisit it, Jamie. After 20 years, it's time. Maybe
Maybe
you're far enough along now in your musical education where you can appreciate it.
Maybe. Yeah. All right. Am I up?
No, I'm up. Are you done?
You're up.
I'm done.
Okay. That was a short battle.
That was a short.
Sometimes you have to take the win and move on. I'm going to go with hopeful, not necessarily happy, but hopeful. Optimistic. Yes. Thank you. Another movie soundtrack by Mr. Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
From 2014, and a little movie called Interstellar.
I've seen the movie.
Yes, the soundtrack is just so good. And to me, it's got that hope there. It's uplifting. It's got its poignancy. It's got its parts that don't feel so hopeful, but ultimately it's looking at a brighter future, for lack of a better word. But it's it brings me to tears sometimes, depending on how hopeful I'm feeling. um, not sad, but actually hopeful. So you can feel so good sometimes. You just have to cry about it.
I have I've read that record was critically more appreciated than some of, and Hans Zimmer is obviously very accomplished and appreciated.
Yeah, the cool thing about this
composer.
soundtrack, I can't remember if it was Christopher Nolan that said, "I want to base this soundtrack around organ." And Hans Zimmer was like, "Oh, how am I going to do this?" But and that's, you don't even really realize it until somebody tells you this soundtrack is based around, like a big giant church organ.
I was going to say that's the
with foot pedals and everything.
Yeah, that big cathedral sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Gives when they're soaring through space, gives a more religious feel to what you're seeing on the screen. Space is a cold, dark place, but when you see it in Interstellar, these different bodies floating in the distance and flying into whatever, it's an adventure, and it should be it makes sense it would be a religious experience, and that big cathedral organ gives you that sense.
Very smart.
Yeah, but it's to me, it's the antithesis of the Anger album,
Okay. And this again is a passive listening record.
Yes.
Just a record that you just enjoy it for what it is.
You just let it pulls the feeling out of you, let it oozes your emotions,
Yeah, I love that album.
All right. My next choice is Rush, Permanent Waves, which was the first record that I really listened to by them.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yep. And by a couple days. And this is an inspired record for me. It always puts me in a good mood. I love everything from the upbeat of Spirit of Radio. Free Will even sounds very upbeat to me, even though it's a serious message. But then Jacob's Ladder, very dark, but it's still got this jauntiness, in certain parts that really makes me entre nous.
I also used to play Spirit of Radio in the morning before school. Sorry,
man. It's very upbeat. Different strings. Different strings is a bit darker.
Oh yeah, I love that song though.
Natural Science has got some up. It's really. I just think it's a very positive record. There's a good vibe around all of it.
Yeah,
it makes me happy. It's my first record that I really realized that Rush were going to be an important band for me, and I would say, still are my all-time favorite band.
And that build up in Jacob's Ladder, and then boom, when the song blows up, it's amazing.
Yeah, from start to finish, that song has that ethereal feel that I guess they're trying to explore. So yeah, that is a great album. That's a good feeling album.
It does make me happy, and it's also a record that I can just enjoy for what it is, and I can also try to analyze it. There's a lot of odd time signatures in there.
I think that solo in different strings, that dissonant solo was, other than Andy Summers and my brain.
You mean at the very end, like it sounds like I always think it just sounds like it's at a campfire.
Yeah, it's just it's dissonant notes. It's almost like it's in tune, but it's almost like it's not in tune.
Yeah.
Driven to Tears, Andy Summers solo. That's the other time I heard it.
That's more dissonant.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but I'm saying it's they're both not quite. It's trying to not be like perfect. It's trying to get a different feel out of it.
Well, I think it's another example of how great Alex is. It's super passionate and emotive. It's just, that's what he is. And if you can't feel that, you'll never appreciate him.
Well, and he was brilliant enough to recognize that a nice little regular guitar melody would not have carried the same weight as that, for lack of better, that weird sound, at the end there. So
it doesn't sound weird to me. He's just got some,
to the normal pentatonic.
He's bending, he's just really wrangling the neck, and it's slightly out of tune, but it's not, I don't think of it as dissonant, but I understand what you're saying. But it's just like he's going for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely improvised. You can tell it's improvised, and that's why it's not perfect, but it is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, even he has said in interviews, he said, we started really cooking there toward the end as it was fading out. I think a lot of people would like to hear if there was a few more seconds of that. That was really good.
Yeah.
He was using a Howard Roberts fusion on that particular solo, I believe, which he used a lot on the next record. But that's a great sounding great sounding guitar.
Mm-hmm.
He used for quite a bit. That's my fourth choice. All right.
Well, when you're ready to party, man, when you're ready to dance, there's any number of songs, albums I could select, but I wanted to go make a little left turn this time.
Miley Cyrus.
And Miley Cyrus.
Billy Ray Cyrus.
That's not on there. It's Billy Ray. No, you guys. Jeez. Anyway, I chose Betty Davis, 1975 Nasty Gal, which is not a disco record, but it is so funky and so much fun. I don't think she got a good reaction when that album came out, but Betty Davis, obviously married to Miles Davis for a time, and I think a big influence on him in the early 70s, but herself a really good artist. And I could have picked any of her albums, but Nasty Girl, it's just it's a party album. If you want to dance, that's a good one to get up and shake your groove thing too.
Is this a 70s equivalent to the WAP song? I'm just curious. Just curious.
It might be. It's not the most family friendly album, but she's great. I love her. So that's if you come to my house to party, you're going to listen to Betty Davis at some point.
All right.
Nice.
Down for that.
All right. My last choice here, my mood is nostalgic mood. You just like Jamie said earlier with his guitar, that album just takes him right back. This album takes me right back to 1992 when it came out and a few years beyond. Good stuff happening around that time. Sade, Love Deluxe.
Oh, wow. Great album.
Amazing album. But those songs are they bring me right back to a certain time and right back to a certain feel. And, it's when I need the ultimate nostalgic road trip in my mind. So you just want to kick out the modern world and think about other stuff and travel back. That's the album for me.
Cherish the Day is still one of my favorite tracks of the last 25 years or 30 years. It's a great song. I saw them on Saturday Night Live play that, and it just really, I had not heard it prior to that. I thought, ooh, this is good. Yeah. It's really, really good. That's a great record. I think that's her best record.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So I am a fan of Sade. I've got a playlist that I put on my phone occasionally. Even the stuff her collection that she had out several years ago is a really good collection. It's very thorough. Gives you a good representation of what she was about. But I'm a fan. I like it.
Oh yeah,
very good choice. Right.
What you got for us last here, Mr. Jamie?
Hey, my last choice is going to be my Total Chill, which Krungben could be a contender for that. But it's actually recently I would say that it is. But overall, the last few decades, it's going to be Kind of Blue by Miles. Blue and green, so what? It's just I love it. Flamenco Skies. So many of his songs do it for me, but that
Yeah.
Blue and Green is pretty much the perfect record that I was like, if you're just drinking a martini, and you're in a penthouse and you can see over the city and there's light rain and lights everywhere at night. I thought, God, that's the perfect. That just makes me think about that when I hear that song. It just puts me in a mood and it's just totally relaxed. So that record just really does a lot for me. I enjoy it. I can listen to it passively and just really feed off the vibes, or I can try to listen to it for more harmonic, thoughtfulness. And it just really is such a good record. It's one of the very first modal records, that they were soloing modally. It's a very important record for that. But God, it's so good. And I love Bill Evans' piano solo on this record. I mean, it's as much as I love the piano players that played with Miles and Coltrane, Bill Evans had something that was just a little bit extra, and his just sound was beautiful. And it just perfectly worked with that record. I don't know if that was just by happenstance or if Miles recognized that those songs needed his touch.
Yeah.
It just totally works. I just can't imagine him not being on that record. I don't think it would be the same.
Yeah.
So
It wouldn't. I don't think it would be either. Yeah.
So delicate but yet so majestic, that he provided for those songs. So, and you had Cannonball and you had Coltrane. Can't go wrong, man.
Nope.
It's all good stuff. So,
and kids, if you don't have a penthouse or a martini, you can listen to this album in your beat up beanbag with the duct tape on the back.
That is true.
Some headphones.
You can listen to this record anytime, and it's going to satisfy. It's going to be good.
It's good anytime. It's good.
It's good anytime.
Good.
That's another t-shirt idea. That's another t-shirt. It's good anytime. All right. I like this. This is good. We had some fun with this. Hope you guys all had fun listening.
Now go listen.
That's what it's about, people. We're trying to turn you on to new stuff, and we're trying to have a laugh or two.
Yeah, if you want to share your mood for a certain song, put it in the comments.
Yes, please like and subscribe. We appreciate everybody that has done so far. Keep listening. We will keep trying to do the best programming we can for you guys. See you next week. Thanks so much.
All right. Be well. These little